All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Forge Your Life podcast. Today, with your host, Richard Fu from richardfu.com and The Ultimate Man. And today, I have a real heart-centered moneymaker, right? He's the CEO of the Heart-Centered Moneymakers, right? The venture capital firm. He has such a beautiful spirit. I've been blessed to have been introduced to this guy, right, from one of our other guests, Jeff Slater. And just to actually watch this guy's journey and just see how much he's grown and just really feel the real heart-centeredness from him. It's amazing. And so, guys, his name's Rossco Paddison, and he's made a huge shift to help so many other people, when aspiring billionaires, really change their life. And so, guys, welcome Rossco to the show. Hey, Rossco, good to have you on, brother.
Thanks for having me. And it's funny. They always say to pull yourself down after you get introed, but I just want to say thank you. It feels good to be put up sometimes.
Man, I don't know what shows you're jumping on, Rossco, man, but I'm here to make you light up on fire, right? Like, feel like you burn brighter and hotter than ever before. And so, Rossco, for the people who haven't heard about you, tell us a bit more about yourself, man, and how you got to where you're at.
Interestingly enough, I actually kind of see myself as boring, and I'll tell you why. I'm kind of very narrow focused. I literally, you mentioned that, I'd had several businesses and all those sorts of things, before I was even 18. Like when my friends were out partying when I was a teenager, I was staring into blank, vacant commercial spaces going, what would go here? Like what would work? What wouldn't, why? And I actually kind of consider myself, somewhat boring to most people.
Yeah.
And I'm very narrow focused, and my narrow focus is on building companies that fill a humanity-sized need, and also helping as many people as I can, and that's all I want to do. I've got a wife and two beautiful sons, and they're about the only other thing I do. So I'm pretty boring. That's it.
And this guy, this is what a real heart-centered guy does. He's just like, I'm just a normal dude. I'm just humble and just like whatever. But I love that, man. I love it. And that's why I'm so glad that we connected and to grab you on the show here, Rossco. So let me ask you this question, man. Everyone's probably thinking as they're watching or listening to this is like, what does it mean to be a heart-centered moneymaker? And how did you discover that for yourself first, man?
I think for me, I always wanted to be wealthy, and I had some success earlier on in life, and then I had some seriously big failures. And for me, and I still aspire to be a billionaire. I aspire to actually have a number of billion-dollar companies, not one. So my aspirations are huge. However, I don't actually really desire money. It's interesting, I don't desire to buy fancy cars. I don't desire to have fancy trimmings. I don't desire to waste, or actually spend money. I just aspire rather to have $1 billion worth of influence. And so, and also, the decisions that come with a lot of money. Because I feel like there's 1,826 billionaires in the world, right? And I feel like about 100 to 200 of them are kind of waking up, and we need more billionaires that are conscious. And so for me, I think, that it really started for me when I saw the Dalai Lama quote. It was on my post, having money trauma, spiritual awakening part of my life journey. And I saw this Dalai Lama quote. And, I don't agree with everything the Dalai Lama says. But one thing that I did like is that he said, the Western world will be saved by the Western woman, essentially. And what I made that mean for me is rather than, the women are actually going to save the world or anything, is that I just made it mean that, what is it that a Western woman would have the opportunity to do? And it's that they'd be able to, put heart or their loving, caring nature into Western business models. So essentially I made it mean, being heart-centered in business is what's going to fix the world, as opposed to it being specifically about women.
Yeah.
So I thought, business that was compassionate, business that was kind, business that was destined to not only, be there for profits, but, also has, social and behavioral considerations within the organization to make sure that, everyone benefits. Everyone, like I currently own 5 companies.
Right.
All of them are social companies, like they all have a give back. So for every, single purchase that's made, there's a give back in every single one of them. All of them, values driven, got huge visions for them. So I think that's kind of like an overview or a top level view of what sort of it looks like to be a heart center money maker. And then the other thing is you've got to get the tattoo, like permanently.
I'm gonna screenshot that, man.
On your arm. I have a few. I only have a few left. If people want them, they can like message me. I've got some temporary tattoos. I'll send you.
Oh yeah, why not, man? Why not? Oh man, you're not. It's not real unless it's tattooed on you, right?
It's so funny, but it's interesting. For me, having it tattooed on me, I have people walk up to me in the street and like strike up conversations, and so many people have so much charge around money. It's kind of ridiculous. It actually. It's so interesting to notice people's behavior when you talk about money. Especially in Australia, you just don't talk about money. It's not a public conversation. It's we have those conversations behind closed doors. We don't openly share. There's no such thing as transparency when it comes to money. There's no such thing as, building, enough certainty within yourself to share your actual financial position or what's happening or all those such things. Like you're going to be in trouble if you're doing well.
And Rossco, you said something interesting here is that, of the, I think it was like 800 billionaires or something like that, right?
1,826. Yeah.
You're saying that, people, some of them are starting to wake up and become conscious. And what do you mean by conscious, right? Like, how do you mean by that? Like socially conscious or?
I think it comes down to 3 things. I think it comes down to like just actual social give back, like giving back to others, contributing to others, I think is a huge part of it. Behavioral, like being self-responsible is kind of what I mean by behavioral, like being someone who goes, all right, if I take 2 liters of water out of this lake, I'm going to put 2 liters of water back in there. Do you know what I mean? Like they're taking actions that are, not doing harm essentially. And then I think the third one is that they're visionaries. So there's they're contributing to others. They're doing behaviors that is, doing no harm and only doing good. And then they're visionaries. Like people I kind of see as the great visionary entrepreneurs are people like Elon Musk. Like his vision's just freaking huge. It's literally out of this world. Great, social kind of ones like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. I mean, they've given them and a group of 115 billionaires given away $500 billion of their own wealth to the rest of the world in different causes. Behaviorally, we're starting to see the behavioral companies start to come up the ranks, and it's kind of fresh, but this is the plate for plate. This is the, if I take this 2 liters of water out of this lake over here, I'm going to put another 2 liters over here kind of thing. So social, behavioral, and visionary is kind of the 3 things that makes up a conscious billionaire in my mind.
Yeah, and I mean, those values themselves, man, I mean, if you think about it, it's not just for billionaires, right? It's for everyone, right? It's how everyone should be almost living their life. It's like, if you're going to make an impact somewhere, if you're going to take something, then where are you going to put it back, right? Where are you going to give it back? And not even just one for one, maybe like some of these, like you're saying, some of these people want to actually give more back.
Yeah, sure. Totally.
So it's huge, man. And I love it. And
there's a company in Australia and it's called Who Gives a Crap? It's
yours?
No. It's a social company. It's a brilliant company.
Yeah.
So what they do is they literally sell toilet paper, and for every roll of toilet paper, or every box of toilet paper, I believe they build a toilet in the developing world, and 85% of death in some of the developing world countries is because of bad sewage, bad water. So they're building these toilets that are literally saving the world while everyone else is wiping their bum. So it's, like there is a ripple effect that can happen from these things. And excuse the crude language, but that's just a really good example of one of those models.
Nah, it's cool, man, and I had never heard of that, and that sounds so awesome. It's like this other company, I think it's Tom's Shoes or something like that in America.
Yeah, Tom's, yeah.
Yeah, where you buy a pair and then they actually give a pair to like the homeless people.
Yep. Thank You is a great Australian one. Daniel Flynn's done some brilliant things there. He, for every bottle of water you buy here, you're buying fresh drinking water for people in other countries and all sorts of different things. Yeah.
Amazing, man, amazing. And I wanted to touch on this thing because we were talking about, particularly Australian culture, and I'm guessing this happens at most other places around the world too, is where we don't want to talk about the money. We don't want to be transparent about the money. And why do you think that is? Do you think that's because, and this is in my own thoughts, I'm asking myself this question, is do you think it's because we are trying to measure ourselves against the money? We're trying to see how much we're actually worth and where we stack up on the ladder scale compared to other people? What are your thoughts from when you've encountered people who are have these money stories, we'll call it?
I think it's just fear. I genuinely think it's fear. I think if there's kind of two types of people in the world, right? There's someone who'll lock their front door, bolt it, and lock the front screen, and then there's other people who live a life where they just never need to lock the door of their house. And so I think because some people are just comfortable in it. It comes and it goes and whatever. And then some people are fearful. I'm not saying that you shouldn't put your money in a bank and you should leave it on a park bench and just hope that it'll be there when you get back. Yeah. But I genuinely think that people have a fear that it won't be safe for them in their life and in their ecology. If they tell everyone they've got this money, then they might lose friends of people who don't have enough money, or people who believe money that's evil, or people who believe that corporations are the death to the world, and like whatever the kind of conspiracy satanic kind of conversations are they having. I don't know, but I'm like they're like having this, I think it's fear. I think they're really scared that something bad's going to happen if they tell people they've got a stack of money. It's just, it's silly. It's like, if your money's in the bank, and some conspiracy theorists would say the banks are all going to blow up one day. Well, that's whatever, right? We can live in fear, or we can just live.
Yeah, man. And
choose the second option.
Choose the second option. Which red pill or the blue pill, right? Which one do you want, right? And so, how do you help people like that, man? I mean, actually, before even that, I'm intrigued, man. Did you have a story like that as well, Rossco? And then did you find a way out of that to actually shift yourself?
So interestingly, I did this process where I think it was 30 days, and it was really actually quite life-changing. It was a simple process where I was single at the time, and I decided that my girlfriend for 30 days was going to be money. So I dated money.
Tell us how it went, man. Did you always have to take her out?
well, interesting. So in my wallet, I organized my wallet and I took care of money. I literally and then I literally it was kind of ridiculous. This is kind of almost psychopathic what I'm about to tell you. So I'd have my wallet and I'd sit it beside me on the couch and I'd talk to it.
Oh man, I'm glad we're recording this, man, because this is awesome.
I'm glad to look and see how crazy I am.
Yeah.
And then what I would do is I'd notice my conversation to it, because most people's conversation to money is unconscious, right? So what I did is I made the unconscious conscious. And so the unconscious conversation most people have is when they break to their last 50, they usually say something like, crap, I'm going to have to go to the ATM now, or whatever their feelings and their sensory perceptions are. They're talking in relationship to money. They usually have a poor dialogue. They literally have a poor person's dialogue with money.
So give us some examples of what's a poor person's dialogue with money.
Oh, there's so many examples. I mean, so one thing that I've done is, and this is something that Jeff, who recommended I come on the show, taught me, is where you put 3 chairs out, and I get, them sitting across for money. And I've heard consistently, you don't look after me. Other people say that to money.
Wow.
And actually it's them not looking after money. That's actually reverse. It's total projection, right? And the beautiful thing about money is it's a hologram, because it's an innate object. It's just what that person's projecting out into the world. It's actually got nothing to do with money itself. Money is it's an inanimate object. It's got no charge. Mm-hmm. And so the funny thing is watching people spew all of this crap and psycho mumbo jumbo that they have towards money, and then you get them to go sit in the seat of money, and then money just goes, "What are you talking about? I'm here. I'm here. You've just got to provide value in the world, and you'll get more of me, and you just got to take care of me, and savings. You just got to take care of me, and then I will grow for you." Anyway. So it's an interesting conversation, and I believe that you just make that dialogue unconscious to conscious. So that's essentially what happened for me in that 30 days of being really weird and dating money rather than dating.
So like you put the wallet out, and then you're like, oh, do you need a wash, or what do you want to eat? Is that what you do?
Yeah, literally, I in my money jar, I upgraded my money jars. I bought expensive dishes to put my money in. Your change jar at home. Most people have an ice cream container. I went and bought this expensive dish. I did all the just stupid little things, but it really made me respect it. One other thing I did is I got a big photo frame, and I think it's got $1,650 in it. It's in my bedroom at home, and it's got all $50 notes. It's this big photo frame, and I chose that I was going to put it on display, and I was comfortable just having that, as an artwork. Yeah. And since then, I started filling up other photo frames full of money, because I'm just it's fine to want it, want to have it. It's not evil to want it. It's not. There's nothing wrong with a person because they want to have some money. Yeah. It doesn't. But if they focus on, if they just focus on making money, and that's not going to make them money. It's kind of a paradox. There's nothing wrong with wanting money. That's fine. But the way you make it is by helping people and providing a real value to a humanity-sized need in this world. So it's an interesting dichotomy.
Wow, amazing, man. And I love that you did something so crazy, so outrageous for yourself, so that you could actually see what's going on. And would you recommend other people go actually date money as well, right? Do this 30 days?
Maybe not. So one of my favorite words is the word weird, and the etymology of the word weird means to pave your own path.
Yeah.
So I want people to be weird in whatever way they want to be weird. And I want them to be okay with being weird or boring or whatever it is. I just want people to be more comfortable in being weird and being their version of weird. So if they want to date money, sure, date money. If they want to date their dog, do that. Just do whatever it is that they want to do. Take less account of what others are thinking about you, but have a good intention and make sure that you're looking to help people in the world by doing what you're doing. That's kind of, I guess, my underlying message. I don't know how people's chihuahuas will feel about that. I don't think anyone should actually date their dog, just so we're clear.
This is the challenge now for you, Rossco. Go date your dog, right? And prove us wrong. That it's wow, I have a whole new appreciation.
The poor chihuahuas in the world.
And when you do, you let me know, man, so that we can do this interview after.
No, I'm doing that.
Kiss her. No. Oh, man.
Apologies, everyone. Sorry.
You're not apologetic, man. You're just I just want to see someone do it and then tag us in, and it's Rossco told me to do this.
No. I'm actually sorry.
This is real heart-centered stuff, guys. I know what you're talking about.
It's interesting. So how we just talked about people's charge around money. People actually have a charge around heart-centered too, and it's BS. It's so interesting. people will go, oh, that's not heart-centered, or that's not heart-centered, or that's not heart-centered, or that's not heart-centered. Especially since, I got this tattoo on my arm and, in my bio it says I'm the heart-centered moneymaker or whatever. It's so interesting. People's perception of heart-centered, it's entirely different. And it's a unique interpretation. And, it's so funny because you'll see these beautiful spiritual people who go, you're not in your heart, or you're not like this, and it's actually just their interpretation of where you're at. And ultimately it's up to you to decide whether it's heart-centered or not. And it's kind of, so one of the things I've noticed is people have charge around money, but they also have a charge around what is compassion, what is kindness, what is this, what is that. And I'm like, everyone just kind of needs to ease off on their charge around both of those things and notice that they're a projection of their own values. At the end of the day, it's a projection of their own reality onto those other things. And, when we tell something, if someone told you, Richard, that you're not heart-centered, then that's their projection. It's got nothing to do with you. You may or may not be in that given moment, and that's actually completely separate to that comment. So it's interesting. Just one of the things that I've learned about increasing my relationship with money and being heart-centered and these types of things is not having to charge around things and letting things kind of be chargeless.
I know, I understand what you mean, and that's so important because so many times it's like, no, Rossco, it's this, right? People will put their framing, they'll put their lenses on and say, you have to wear, put simply, you have to wear these types of glasses. That's how you should be seeing the world. And so that's what you're saying is that, if you just be open to it, it's accept that people will disagree with you. People will say you're doing it wrong, right? They'll judge it on that front. And it's for us to just sit back and go, all right, cool. I understand. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. It's just another person's point of view, isn't it, man?
Yeah, I think in anyone's moment of judgment, they're both limiting themselves and the other person, instantaneously. Any judgment is just placing limits on yourself and the other person. And it's kind of just do your own thing. Make sure you're doing good by everyone else. Kind of do no harm. And that's, that's my values I'm projecting on everyone else in this podcast. But there's no real point to, it's actually really hilarious. At the time of recording this, for people listening to the playback, we're seeing this political race in America right now. And it's hilarious to watch, let's be clear. It is hilarious to watch. But you just see how much people's charge they have. And the Australian debate's about to begin. And you just see how much charge people have and all the comments they have and, all the conspiracy factor and all this sort of stuff. Just everyone just chill.
Let's just calm down, guys. It's okay, Let's say what they want to say. Ideally, it's not nice what they said, but, it's what's done is done.
Yeah,
And one last question here, Rossco, before we start going into wrapping up the show. I'm intrigued here. Especially if you're a business person and even if you're an employee, right? And, we all, I believe this, and this is my own charge, is that we all have a responsibility, right? We all have a responsibility to give back to people. Right? And for yourself, when you create your companies, right, from scratch, I'm guessing they weren't earning much, right, at the start.
Yeah, no.
Did you always commit to yourself? And if so, I'm intrigued in how you formulated this idea of how much, I'm guessing you built all your companies and they were, you said, I'm going to give a certain percentage back, right? And how did you work that out, man? And when did you actually start applying it? Did you apply that from day one, right? From the first dollar you get in and it's all right, 30 cents goes over here or whatever it is you want to do, right? How did you come up with that for yourself and your businesses, man?
I think that is kind of a simple way for everyone to do it is to just choose some mathematics, just go, plate for plate or this for that. It is an easy way to do it. The thing that I would look at first though, stepping back a few steps, is I'd look at what is the need in the world. Actually, I find the challenge when, employees going into business for the first time or entrepreneurs in business, they ask the question, what does everyone want? When actually the way you make $1 billion is you solve a need, not a want. And so you look at Elon Musk, he just launched, the $35,000 Tesla Model 3. And he sold over 400,000 units, which was over $16 billion product launch, right, in pre-sales. And he did that because there was this need in the world where everyone's standing at the gas station or the fuel station, and they're filling up their car and they're complaining and whinging and bitching about fossil fuels and what it's doing to the earth and what it's doing to their bank account and how expensive it is and blah, 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 blah. So he filled a need, not a want. And so find a need in the world to solve with your give back and with your business. And I also believe, stop asking yourself, what do you want to do, and start asking yourself, what do you need to do to grow your business or grow your impact?
Epic, man. That huge line, man. And I'm glad I asked that question because that was massive, man. So thank you for that, brother.
That's cool, man.
And Rossco, man, I've been having so much fun here that the time has flown and we got to start wrapping up the show.
That's all good.
So we're going to run into the quick fire questions here, and we're going to start off with our signature question here, Mr. Rossco, right? It's called the time travel moment.
Okay.
Go back in any moment of your life, right? Talk to little Rossco and impart one piece of advice that you know about yourself now. When would you go back to, and what would you say to little Rossco, man?
I think the only thing I'd tell him to do is to save more money faster. Mm-hmm. The compound interest is probably the lesson I'd like to instill upon anyone. Yeah. I'm 32 and I would have a lot more money in my bank account if I followed that rule. And so I've started strictly following it moving forward from about 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. The other thing I'd probably say to him is you can't break the world, so go hard.
Oh man, I love that one, man. That's awesome. Just go for it. Just go for it.
Yeah, just go.
Beautiful, bro. Beautiful. And the next one I have for you, Rossco, is I'm guessing you've read a lot of books, man. Yeah. And so, of all the books that you've read, is there one that is like an absolute must read for the people watching, the people listening, that they have to read about finances, man, to get themselves sorted?
About finances?
Yeah.
Two. So there's two for money. There's one called The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, which is for personal finances. Mm-hmm. And then there's a business one by Mike Michalowicz, which is called Profit First. And those are both very tactical. They tell you how to manage your personal finances and how to manage your business finances. These are managing your finances books, both exceptional. And I would highly recommend them. They are not teaching you how to earn more money. They're just teaching you how to manage what you've got. All right. Mm-hmm. So I would read those two books, and then I'd go read everything you can on increasing your earning.
Yeah. It's like get your house in order first before you go out and hit the street, right?
Yeah. Plug the holes in the bucket.
Love it, man. Exactly. And so next question I have for you, Rossco, is, in the modern world we're living in, right? In the modern world where we have modern men as we are today, right? There's a feeling I get, right, that the modern man is not stepping up completely to do what the modern world needs us to do. And what do you think that thing is, right? What do you think the world needs from the modern man that men who are listening need to actually start doing it and applying more in their own life, man?
I think it needs men to stop being afraid of their own aspirations. Mm-hmm. It needs us to just be okay with wanting everything we want and doing the work that it takes to kind of fulfill around that, do whatever it takes to become that person. Mm-hmm. And that's your journey, but just be okay with having huge aspirations. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing broken with that. And I think it's the men that will help, the women on their journey right now and end tall poppies in the world by just being okay without having huge aspirations and it being okay and survivable in the world.
Amazing, man. Beautifully said, man. Beautifully said. Especially for the Australians here, right, where we have that massive tall poppy syndrome, which just drains and kills everyone. And so the next question I have for you, Rossco, is, what is true wealth to you, man? What's true wealth look like to you?
It's an interesting question. This is going to sound really weird.
It's just you forging your own path then, man.
Yeah, totally. I think true wealth is I think true wealth is courage. It's just, it's actually, true wealth is having the courage to just face and, having the balls, the bravado, the gusto, the whatever it is, the courage to dive in fully to life. And, and obviously having more money helps you do more of that. But I think ultimately true wealth is expressed in courage. And so, I don't want people to just get wealthy. I want them to, take their message to the world simultaneously. And so, you don't want to get there. Brené Brown said, courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. You don't want to become a billionaire and then hide out. You want to be seen and share your message. So I think true wealth is in courage. It's embedded, and they're very similar.
Wow. Amazing, man. Was not expecting that. And I thought that was sick, man. That was so good. And one final question here, Rossco, as we wrap up the show here. If you only had 30 seconds left to live, brother, and you're surrounded by your family, your friends, your team, and the people that you've impacted, especially through giving back, right, socially, what's the final piece of advice you'd share with them?
Don't forget who you are.
Power, man. Power right there. Boom. Rossco, man, I've had so much fun chatting here with you, man.
Likewise.
So, brother, if people want to learn more about yourself and your other companies and what you do, where's the best place they should head to?
There's a few websites. You can check out aspiringbillionaires.com. They can check out gatherchange.com, which is one of the crowdfunding websites we've got. There's another one, directmessaging.com. There's tons of them. They can connect with us in those ways, and then they can just follow us on Facebook too. I think I'm facebook.com/Rossco Paddison or something. Just connect with me, just talk to me. I'm a human being.
Awesome.
I don't hide out behind opt-ins. I actually have conversations.
Love it, man. And so, Rossco, man, thank you again for jumping on the show, man. Was there anything else you wanted to add that we didn't get to cover on the show?
The only thing wrapping up is for the men of this world is, that's kind of the audience. And there's probably no doubt women listening to the show as well. But I think just be like the confidence of men truly, being weird is important. It's important for us to confidently be ourselves and not the expectations and limitations that others put on us.
Amazing. I love that. And it's so true. And so, man, absolute honor, absolute pleasure to have you on. So
thank you.
So I really appreciate that. And so, guys, this wraps up another episode of the Forge Your Life podcast today with the heart-centered moneymaker, Rossco Paddison. And so if you learned something on this show, if you learned something from this episode, make sure you share it. Make sure you get over to iTunes and rate the show so that we don't keep Rossco's message a secret, right? It's the worst thing we could do. So it's doing a huge injustice. If anything, you're socially responsible to get this message out there, not just his message, but everyone else's that we've interviewed on the show. And remember to head on over to iTunes to rate the show and richardfu.com for the show notes. And finally, guys, remember to go out there, go live with love, go smash it. And I'll see you again on the next one.